John.
And welcome to another episode of the Meatgistics podcast. We have food sitting in front of us.
We do.
So that means it's going to be a good episode. I always like the episodes where we get to eat. We've also got a few fun topics to go through and kind of kick around some ideas and thoughts about. But where do we want to start for the day?
Well, first, with you saying fun topics, we needed to come back from the last episode where I was talking about black pills and seeing no hope. So we're going to keep it a little bit lighter this episode.
Hopefully.
Starting off, I have one of the most horrifying stories of all time.
Great.
So for those of you listening at home, I highly recommend you Google something called, or DuckDuckGo, something called the Kentucky Meat Shower. So back in 1876, in Kentucky, this family was at their house. The mom was outside making soap or something, and meat just began to fall out of the sky. The pieces were anywhere between 2 by 2 all the way up to 4 by 4 inches. And it's just falling out of the sky. Like apparently a decent amount, enough where they looked up and they're like, what is falling? Yes, that's meat. So what do you think the first thing they did was?
Said a prayer to God and hoped that he wasn't mad.
That was the leading theory initially, was that God had sent the meat. But no, they ate it.
Seriously?
They ate the meat.
Interesting.
Not the first thing I'd do if meat was falling from the sky. I mean, if it was a nice like T-bone or prime or ribeye,
as long as it didn't
down.
smell bad. Like just this morning, my wife opened up this dip and like set it on the counter. And she's like, I think this is spoiled. Can you try it? And I'm like, heck yeah. I got some stuff, dipped in it, and I just ate. And it was fine. Didn't smell it, question. Okay. I'm just like, it looks okay. And I'm just, boom, just go for it. If it's food and it looks good.
So she's having sensitive stomachs in the morning again?
No. No.
Okay. But okay. So they brought everybody in on this back in the day. They had universities that were sampling it. Initially, they said it tasted either like deer or lamb. Some hunter in the area said that it was definitely bear. And then one of the colleges that took a sample of it and tested said it could have been either horse or human.
That's great.
So it baffled people forever. There were all sorts of weird theories. Like one of them was that it was some bacteria that sometimes when it rains will like form a gelatinous something and fall out. But it wasn't raining then, so that wasn't possible. The now accepted theory is vultures. Vultures are obviously on the ground. They scavenge. They eat all sorts of nasty dead things. And then if they're in the air and there's a predator or they need to move quickly, they will regurgitate all of that so that they can fly quicker and easier.
That's kind of cool, but
there
gross.
Must have been a few, because I think it was like an area of like 100 square yards or something. It was not a small area. The vultures regurgitated in air. It landed on this family, and then they ate the vulture leavings.
That's so weird.
That's it. It's absolutely an unbelievable story. If it wasn't so well documented, I would be really wanting to call it an urban legend of some kind.
Were there like 4 or 5 pieces, or are we talking like there was like 100 pieces?
No. Yeah, there's lots.
That's
lots
just
and lots.
Crazy.
But yeah, just one of those things that super weird. Like, you do know that it has rained fish and frogs in certain areas, right?
No.
The fish is in, I want to say Iceland or something like that. Like these squalls come in off the ocean and they just suck up tons of water right off the ocean. And occasionally they bring up small fish.
That's crazy.
And then the frogs, I can't remember the story with that. It was something weird.
Interesting. Now I have to get this out because it's going to eat me up like the whole time we're doing the podcast here if I don't say something. But as soon as you said that it might be human meat,
yeah,
the first thing I go to is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And the episode
so it's raccoon probably.
Yeah.
I've got the thirst.
Yeah, you've seen that.
Yeah, oh yes. Come on.
I love that episode.
Yeah, that might be my favorite D episode. She wasn't my favorite character, but that one was great.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely great. All right. So then actually going on to some nice and lighter themes. I do want to bring up, I feel like occasionally on here, and I hope it doesn't come off too strong, that we give we have some sort of negative feelings or whatever thoughts towards like the big meat processing guys. And it's not true. I mean, they're not our customers, so we don't have that real bond with them, but they do occasionally do good things. And I do want to call it out. Smithfield Farms gave $70 million this year in charitable donations. I mean, they're an enormous company, so I'm sure that's not much off their bottom line, but who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't point out and praise people for doing good, why would they? So great job by Smithfield there. Purdue donated 10,000 pounds of chicken to needy families with young children. And Tyson donated 8,000 chicken wings for some big cookout that was all the benefits were going to go to local people with cancer. So good job by those companies.
Very cool.
A couple other things that are going on right now. They're going to be starting to reopen some of these big plants. And that's going to be interesting for us because as these big plants get reopened and less of that processing business is going to our target customers, what happens there?
Our customers are so booked up that it doesn't matter. A lot of our customers are booked out multiple years.
Okay.
I mean, by the time things kind of catch back up,
I'll be dead.
Hopefully. Hopefully. No, I don't think it's going to be a problem. The industry has changed so much over the last year and grown so much in the small to mid-sized market that even if the large market returns to normal and even increases, I don't think we'll see a change for a while.
Yeah. And I tend to agree. I just think it's going to be interesting. I know people a lot smarter than me have said this is the new normal. This is what it's going to look like from now or for now. So that's awesome. But I'm always in the back of my mind, I always have a little, not worst case, like worst case scenario going on. Like what if it all just like our gains are gone?
I don't know. I mean, I'd say it's going to take 4 or 5 years for things to technically get back to normal. I think we are in a new normal. But for things to really even out, like I was saying, with things being booked out so far, we're not, I don't think we're going to see any big major changes for at least a few years. I would actually be more concerned about some of the new weird meat stuff than I would be within industry competition and who's producing what volumes and who's running, who's not running. I don't think that the places like Beyond Beef and some of the other places out there are really gonna pose a big issue, but I'd be more concerned about that than I would be some of the internal industry.
So in the next couple of years, I don't see lab grown cultured meat, whatever they're calling it, as being anything significant. But going forward in the future, I can see that too. I don't think it'll ever match anything close to what beef, pork, all that does, unless Bill Gates gets his way. And he is the biggest landowner in America now. So couple other quick things. There's a plant in Iowa, National Beef, is going to invest $100 million in this one plant to expand it, to allow them to process more head a day. And if I remember correctly, I'm not looking at the article, but I think they said with this addition at that one plant, they'll be able to do 7,400 head a day. Something like that. I don't have the article up because my computer's acting weird.
I've got it here, but I can't read fast enough. It's going to boost it by another 2,500, but I don't know what that's going to put them to actually.
Yeah, it's somewhere. Oh, okay. The expansion and boost the capacity. Yeah, I guess it's not in there. So yeah, whatever. 2,500 extra head of cattle a day is an insane amount.
Yeah, when you consider like a small market guy is going to do 5 to 30 a week, and you're talking about 2,500 a day, that's just insane.
That is insane. I mean, that really is insane. The amount of efficiency, how on top of the ball you have to be, how good your meat cutters have to be. I mean, can't be any wasted motion. You have to cut, steel, cut. So yeah, that's pretty absolutely amazing. There is another outbreak of African swine fever in China. Go ahead.
I shouldn't bring something up, but why is it allowed to be called the African swine fever? You can't like call like coronavirus like the Chinese virus or anything.
Fair.
So is there a politically correct term for it? This is totally off topic.
I mean,
and we probably shouldn't dive into the whole thing,
whatever.
But
maybe you just call it swine fever.
Maybe. But there already was like a swine flu. Maybe that's too close. I don't know. I digress.
What was swine flu's actual name? Was that SARS-CoV? No, SARS-CoV was something totally different.
I don't remember.
Or something. I can't think of it. Patrick just said he's H1N1.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah. All right. And then do we want to go on to your thing?
Sure. So by the time everyone else is listening to this, this is going to have already happened. But for us, in our present time, that sounds weird.
Sure, whatever. Time travelers.
Yeah. Tomorrow is a special day, I guess you could say. Colorado and Nebraska got into a little bit of a fight over this. But the governor of Colorado is declaring March 20th Meat Out Day, basically seeking to decrease the meat consumption and encourage meat eaters to consider plant-based diets. It's basically their own way of just creating and fabricating a holiday to try to reduce the amount of red meat that's out there. Obviously, if that happens, there's going to be a lot of people that are up in arms about it.
Sure.
Nebraska, which is definitely a little bit of a different type of state than Colorado, they pretty much just said, screw you. We are having our own day, and I forget exactly what they called it. So Nebraska is calling theirs Meat on the Menu Day. Where
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
I love it. But they are encouraging the eating of meat. So that is happening on March 20th. So you got Colorado, who's like, don't eat meat. Nebraska, who's like, hey, let's eat meat.
There are a ton of ranchers in Colorado.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how many total counties there are in Colorado, but I do know it said, if I remember right, it said 26 counties like signed like an official petition or did something, I don't know, that was basically like, what are you doing? You can't do this, because there's a lot of agriculture in Colorado.
Sure.
The backlash didn't actually get really a response from the governor, but the agriculture commissioner issued a letter. You would think that if you came out and announced something, you would announce it, but they probably try to hide when they back off things like that. But they said it was then declared as a quote unquote non-binding holiday so that it didn't create a new state holiday, and they were trying to backtrack off of what they did there. Because you're talking in Colorado, agriculture is $21 billion to the state annually, and just meat products alone is $12 billion. You don't really want to piss off a market like that.
Why do it? I mean, what's your thought process there? You think that meat is bad for the environment and is creating global warming? Well, now you're asking people to eat more vegetables? Well, go look at monocropping, what that does to the environment. I'm really sick of beef and pork getting kicked around by everybody saying it's bad for the environment. Listen, we're humans. We are bad for the environment. We change our environment. That's what we do. I'm not saying that we shouldn't look at ways to mitigate that effect we have, but to act like we're going to just make this change and make everything better it's stupid. It's bad thinking. It's first order thinking. We need to get to the place where we don't just look at the first effects of a decision. That's how you make bad decisions. That's how you go down bad roads.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to think beyond what that is. Okay, so people are going to stop eating as much meat this day. All right, what does that do? Well, then they're going to increase their vegetable consumption. Oh, that's good, right? Is it? I mean, yes, vegetables are absolutely healthy for you, no question. But I don't love that they're pushing that ideology.
In my personal preference on the whole matter is that I just wish they would let people make their own choices. Like it's one thing if a group of people come out and say, hey, let's have a meatless day. Great, power to you. I mean, I would support people to do that if they want to do it. I just have the issue when the governor comes out and is like, hey, this is a meatless or a meat out day.
Yep.
It's like you don't need to tell people that that's what they need to do. If people do it, that's great, but let everyone make their own choice. That's where I fall on most things. Is just let everyone do their own thing.
Yep.
Now, hopefully everyone is responsible when they make choices and they think about like the whole repercussions of things. Like you're saying, don't make choices based upon just the first effect off of something, but look at the full picture of things. But if some people want to eat meat, let them eat meat.
Yep.
If some people want to eat vegetables, let them eat vegetables. If you want to eat both, power to you.
Yep.
I just substitute vegetables for or substitute carbohydrates for vegetables. I don't eat vegetables, but I'll eat meat and carbs.
They do
Those
the
are my
exact
two
same thing
food
in your
groups.
system.
Yeah.
Broccoli and bread, same thing. Now, for people who have been longtime fans of Meatgistics and Waltons, I did do a modified but pretty close to a carnivore diet here a couple of years ago for a few weeks. Felt absolutely great while I was doing it. Ate tons of steak. I was also doing intermittent fasting, lost a bunch of weight and managed to keep most of it off. There's been some comments around the office recently that are not making me feel good.
There have been a strange number of fat jokes about you.
There have
lately.
been. No, I really don't care. But I would be willing to go do a carnivore diet again, but Walton's has to sponsor me. Buy me a bunch of steaks.
We can do that for a day. Is that a long enough time frame to get some scientific research out of it?
Clear anything out of my system. Right. I could buy a bunch of steaks on one day.
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
You have a budget of $50.
But yeah, nope. Another important thing, and we're not health experts by any stretch of the imagination. But one of the most important things that people need to realize is everybody's body is different. Like what works for some people, especially with like weightlifting and stuff. When I started working out a bunch, I would try to follow like these programs and never see any gains. And then eventually when I was like, all right, I'm going to do what my body feels like doing. That's when I started adding muscle, losing fat. So everybody's different. For some people, a meat heavy diet works great. For other people, they're vegetarian, they're vegan. Awesome. Good for them.
Yeah, that is very true. I don't look like I work out, but I used to be in shape.
So let's tell them about what your running schedule used to be.
Yeah, when I did a lot of running, I didn't follow what anybody else said because, like you said, I listened to my body. I did what my body felt like it could do, and I performed the best just doing that.
Yep.
I'm maybe potentially a little bit of a freak when it comes to stuff like that, though I've never known someone to jump into running like I did.
Yeah. You were obsessed.
And then fall out of it like I did.
Well, I know what happened there.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
There were stories like we'd see each other on Monday, be like, "How was your weekend?" He'd be like, "Oh, good. I just went out running, and next thing I knew, I had run for 16 miles." Who does that? Like a 16-mile planned run, I can understand that. But you're just out and about the neighborhood and just kept running around.
Yeah, you run until you're tired, which I mean, technically is after the first like 100 yards.
Yes.
But your body just kind of breaks down and you just kind of get into a zone and you just kind of go. You basically not till you're tired. You go till your body is like collapsing.
Okay.
More or less.
When you were doing your big runs, like you knew you were going to do a longer one the next day, what would you eat the night before? Were you a carbo load guy?
I would do whatever. I didn't care. I was never had any preference on my diet. I mean, bad example, but there were some of my best runs were actually on nights that I had went out with friends and partied, and we had a little too much to drink, and we just ate all night, just crap and junk food. And you wake up the next day and you're like, I don't think I want to get started today, but you're just like, nope, let's do it. You get out, you go, and you're fine.
Yep. All right. And then one more story. This is super sad. There were 6 people who were killed in a Georgia meat plant that was nitrogen asphyxia. And really the only reason I even bring this up is my wife works in manufacturing and they occasionally have things like that. And I worry about stuff like that all the time. Like, not all the time. I'm not constantly thinking about it. But there have been days like where I haven't heard from my wife in a couple hours or all afternoon, no text or anything. And I'm like, should I look on Google News to see if the plant has exploded? Because they have a ridiculous amount of very volatile chemicals there. She has told me before that if something happens in their chloroform releases, she's like, I'm going to call you. You just start driving north as quickly as possible. She's like, because it will kill most of Wichita. So very scary.
Why do they need that much? What are they doing with chloroform?
Yeah. Well,
or is that classified?
No, I have no idea. They're making gases with it. They make helium and no, not at that plant. They make like foam, stuff like that for like car foam, like the insulation.
Oh, yeah.
So like that really good new car smell is that foam that they do. That's what it is.
So technically toxic chemicals that everyone loves to smell
great.
I like
nice and clean. All right, let's talk about.
Well, I do have one more story.
Sorry,
I threw one to the side in the OneNote.
Okay,
and I forgot about that. This is actually about one of our good customers here in Kansas. Yeah, we will probably report back on more of this later because it just happened a few days ago here. But guy that's been a friend and a customer forever in Clay Center, Kansas. They had their whole locker plant burned down this last Tuesday night. They said it was pretty much a complete loss, but it's just sad. You hate to see that happen to anybody, especially when it's somebody who's a customer and they're somebody that's been around for a really long time. But Brad, who's the owner at Clay Center, said that they're going to be back better and stronger than ever. So we'll hopefully see them soon in the future again. But if you are in or around Kansas or you're ever driving through and you're near Clay Center, look them up once they're back to going some months or a year down the road. They're a cool place, but sad to see that they had everything burned down.
Well, they do have the other...
oh, yeah.
Right. So they have another place where they do some different stuff. It's meat processing, but it's not the same. So I think, luckily, they should be able to pretty much keep going without a beat. And hopefully with the insurance payout, they'll be able to rebuild the old Clay Center and, better than it was before.
Their second facility is in Junction City.
Okay. Before we get to that real quick, we had Tex on the live stream yesterday. which was tons of fun. He had let me know earlier this week that he was in town. He's like, do you want to come in? Or he said, should I come Thursday or Friday? I was like, well, if you come Thursday, you can be on the live stream. And he jumped on it. So that was a lot of fun. It was a good thing. One of the things we talked about on that was recently we did something we haven't done on social media before. We did a post pointing people to a GoFundMe for a friend of mine whose dog, huge boreable, same dog I have, started limping one day. All of a sudden, they took it to the vet and they're like, yep, it's cancer. We have to take the leg. So they took the leg off of a 150-pound dog, and he's kind of small for a boreable. But now it's like in his bones, I guess. So he's going to have to go through treatment. So yeah, I'll post the link to the GoFundMe down in the section notes of this too. I realize this is a weird time to be asking for a lot of people. A lot of people still out of work, but I can say this lady's been unbelievably generous with her time to me and helping me better handle my two huge beasts. So I'm just trying to help her back.
Yeah, very cool.
So one thing a lot of people probably don't know about you is that you are an avid flat earther.
Yeah, I mean, what they say about the earth being round, it's just not possible.
Okay.
I mean, that's for it to be that big and be a ball. I mean, wouldn't we just be bouncing through the solar system?
No, we would be rolling all the time. Because if it's not a flat, if you put something down, if it was a ball, it would just continuously roll. You'd always have to hold something.
We'd be falling too. Like balls fall. But if we were flat, it'd be like an airplane and we'd be flying.
Yes, which makes more sense.
So yeah.
And if you've ever made it all the way to the edge, there's that huge ice wall that.
Yeah. And if it was round, I'd be able to throw a baseball and just have it keep going the whole time and turn around and catch it. But Absolutely. I can't. It always falls down.
Yes. Because it's flat.
Mm-hmm.
You've convinced me.
Convinced myself.
One of the weirder things that has come out of the last few years is this, everybody's more aware of some of these ridiculous conspiracy theories. There's that one, my favorite, and I do not believe this at all, my favorite is the lizard people one.
What?
That like really powerful people are actually like some intelligent lizard that just like either wear a mask to look like a person or they have something that makes them look like people. And it's funny because if you go back and see where this began, a lot of it's from internet videos and like how it would compress those files would occasionally like just have like artifacts, just have, and like part of someone's face would look green or something. And that's what they used to be like lizard people.
Some of that would actually make me feel better about life in the world, knowing that some of the people that are just crazy out there aren't actually human.
Fair enough.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case.
No. Another one is like the underground bases. Never heard that either?
Never heard that.
That there's like enormous cities built underground that elites or something are living in.
Oh, I believe that there's like massive underground things. People aren't living there per se, but yeah, I mean, the U.S. built a massive bunker that they tried to hide from the public forever. That what was it underneath the Greenbrier? That is ringing a bell for some reason.
No idea what you're talking about. Are you talking about NORAD?
No.
Cheyenne City?
No. Hold on. Google this real quick.
What about the all the weird things with the Denver airport? There's supposed to be another one under there.
I've heard that.
There's a bunch of weird things with that, but it's not anything nefarious. I say that like I know.
Yeah, so they give bunker tours at the Greenbrier.
What is the Greenbrier?
Basically, it's a Cold War fallout shelter that the government built and tried to hide. West Virginia.
Yeah, because they only want to get their people in there.
It was to save the elite class.
Sure. One of the things that seems to be getting more popular is as some people look ahead and feel like I felt last week, they've belonged, like they purchased a spot in one of these communities that's set up in a heavily defensible, like bunkered area. And like if things go really bad, you drive there and, they take care of it. They have the place defended.
Yeah. Good luck getting there if things go bad.
Yep. I've always said, or you said, and I'm holding this to you, or holding you to this. If things ever go too bad, I'm coming here.
Oh yeah. I will be here. I'll be patrolling the roof with an AR-15.
I'll be with you.
We'll have all the doors and stuff barricaded.
Keeping Patrick away.
Yeah. We won't let Patrick in.
You stole me your entire plan.
But I would take this room with my wife. Our dogs could be communal dogs so that I don't have to take care of them all the time. But
they would probably end up getting
most
eaten.
likely.
Yeah.
Yep. I keep trying to tell
So
my
make
wife
sure you
that.
bring them
She
because they got a
doesn't.
lot of meat on them.
As well, Reagan's not much, but Brutus has got some. He's got some heft to him. And we have the most important ingredient. Well, probably second. Clean water will be the most important ingredient, but we have nitrite.
Yeah, salt, nitrite, seasoning, that stuff would be gold.
Yep. We would be unbelievably rich if that happened.
Can we have one episode just dedicated to like meat processing in the zombie apocalypse?
Oh, yeah, for sure we can.
That would be a great topic.
We're going to have to wait until I do more with like dry cured sausage and stuff, though.
Yeah, but
because that's definitely more.
We'd have to even go like deeper than that.
Okay.
Like back to the old school, like just
how they crush the meat with a rock to get it broken down enough to.
You just load salt around ham and you throw it in a hole you have dug out underground to keep it cool.
You just wait.
Yeah. That would be a fun episode.
I don't know about the digging a hole in the ground and putting a ham in it.
Like a cellar.
Like Dylan might have a problem with us doing that.
Well, we're not going to actually suggest that people do this, but what would you do to process meat in the zombie apocalypse?
In all likelihood, if there really was a zombie apocalypse, I'd probably just try to find like the most interesting way to go out. That's not like I used to talk to people, especially when like The Walking Dead first came out, and they're like, yeah, during the zombie apocalypse, man, I'd take everybody out or something like that. It's like, dude, life is going to be beyond miserable. We were talking about this last week, how like back in the Renaissance, they would draw the women and men as plump because that was like a status symbol, and we're reversed that now. This is another thing that we have it so good that people are fantasizing about an apocalypse.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
I can't remember the philosopher, but he said, there will come a day when all we will want for is something to want for. I cannot remember I heard Jordan Peterson talking about him. It's not like I've read that philosopher, but it's so true. It's so ridiculously true. All right. And then real quick, this just came out, a plan to build a $200 million beef plant in Nebraska. So Nebraska is just dominating this podcast.
Yeah.
Good for them.
I like it.
And if there is a state that has worse scenery than Kansas, it's Nebraska.
Western Nebraska is pretty uneventful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you live in Western Nebraska.
Yeah.
Please don't hate me.
There's a reason that's where they put Children of the Corn.
They do have like the Corn Palace or whatever it is up there. Have you seen that?
No.
It's actually pretty cool.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly where it's at, but when we're done here, I'll look it up. And if you're ever near there, you got to go look at it.
So we've talked we've talked recently about all the work we've been doing on the website. When that's done, we want to take a day and just go golfing or go do something fun. Because for me, like I wake up in the morning, I either work out or I start working on the website. Then I go home, play with my dogs for a while, and then I'm like, log in. I do like one or two things, and then I'm out. Like I'm done. But you, like, I'll text you in the morning when I get up and you're already up. You're after, like, if I send you a message when I'm about to go to bed, I get a response from you sometimes 2 hours later. So average workday you're putting in right now.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it varies. Some days, like today,
are diamonds. Some days are stone.
I should probably have a better schedule. My body would probably more appreciate it if I did, but I usually try to wake up at like 6, and then like me time is just like reading the news and exploring things, finding out more information about whatever I'm into at the time. I'll just dink around, search things on my phone, do that for maybe half an hour, get going for the day, get to work, leave work usually at 6-ish lately. And then my son usually goes to bed at like 8:30 or so. After that,
Your son stays up later than I do.
yeah, he's actually been staying up till like 9.
Oh,
He's been spoiled a little bit this week. Yeah, I'll have to share pictures with you later. He and I had a boys' night this week. It was fantastic.
nice.
It was pizza and like a bowl of ranch, and he went to town on that
Did he?
ranch. Yeah, it was amazing. But then I don't know. Once my son's to bed, my wife and I, if we're watching TV, I mean, I'm on my phone or tablet or laptop and usually dinking around. And then when my wife is like, hey, it's time to go to bed, I'm like, okay. And then I lay there and I'm still working on my phone. And then I'll finally get tired and go to sleep. I usually try to sleep from like 11:30 till like 6.
Okay.
So I usually get like 7 hours of sleep.
I mean, that's decent. That's not a bad amount. But I mean, outside of that, so there's 24 hours in a day. If you're sleeping for 7, that's 17 hours. I mean, I know you're putting in over 12 hours a day. Is it 14 hours a day or is it like 12 hours a day?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
That's why it's average.
Well, it's hard because I mean, I'm usually here I don't know, sometime in the morning. It might be 7, it might be 8. I might have something else going on. It may be a little bit later, and I may be here. I usually don't leave at 5, but usually leave somewhere around 6. But then other times when I'm doing stuff, it's just so hit or miss that if I get a few minutes, I do something here, I do something there. And when I'm like doing work and I'm not at work, I'm not as efficient. So counting that time doesn't really
you
count.
still have to count that time.
Yeah, but I
You
don't
definitely do.
But some of that is my hobby. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I do here that I just do in that kind of off work time because I like it.
Like
and it's fun.
An upgrade for Meatgistics or something.
Yeah. I've been working on like our internal website, our biz site lately, just because I find that fun. Which actually I have some fun things to unveil hopefully soon.
Cool.
I did some toying around. I was trying to spend a few minutes on it before we came in for podcast here, and I'm stuck. And I've been
bothering you
like the whole time we're in here. I'm thinking about it. Like, okay, how am I going to fix
what if
that?
I do
Am I gonna do this or that? But I just like toying with things.
So something funny happened the other day. I was here, and then I happened to catch Austin. And he was walking in, and he's like, it was sometime before 7 o'clock, and he's like, darn. It's like, I thought today was going to be the day I beat you in. And, I made some snide joke. And then something happened this morning. And I like to be here before 7 o'clock. Something happened this morning. I didn't make it in until like 7:30 something. So I sent Austin a message when he wasn't here. And I said, if you were going to do it, today would have been the day. But, beat you. And he tried to say, no, I'm home and working. That counts. But it doesn't.
Oh, I was not just like off working. I was actually in my office at home, which is, I have it set up like exactly the same as my office here because I'm a weird creature of habit that has to have like everything
same
the same.
Things.
Yeah. So it feels like I'm at my normal desk working, but I was there because I woke up at 6 and I just got started with the day. I told my wife I'd stay home in the morning because we were having a guy come out to work on appliances, and they send you pictures of who's coming. I'm like, that dude looks kind of creepy. Do you want me to stay? And she's like, yeah, if you would. I'm like, okay, I'll stay.
But yeah, no, that doesn't count. You have to be here.
We used to actually have competitions over who was here more often. You remember that? We had a tally mark going on the whiteboard.
I do.
And then
it was who beat. Not who was here more often. It was who was here first.
Who was here first?
Right. Yeah.
And then I just was like, nope, I lost. I'm out of this.
I got it. because I wake up at 4. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm naturally up at that. That's what happens when you go to bed at 7 or 7:30. All right. So for those of you watching on YouTube are probably wanting us to talk about this gorgeous collection of snack sticks we have ahead of us. So few things to talk about with this. First, these are snack sticks, but it's not snack stick seasoning. Gasp.
Oh no, John tried something new?
Crazy, but not really, because it's still a seasoning I use all the time. It's a bratwurst seasoning, and I made snack sticks out of it. So snack sticks, cured sausage, anything like that is going to have a higher salt content than a fresh sausage. This is because it has a functional purpose as well as a taste purpose. It's going to help solubilize the proteins and let them bind easier, make it easier to get protein extraction. The problem is you can't say, like, if you're using a bratwurst seasoning to make a cured sausage, use X percentage more to get that correct salt content, because they're all different. So this is what I've been wanting to do for a while. It is Supreme Pizza, and I added 20% more seasoning per pound of meat to get that good bind. And as far as a bind goes, everything like that, they came out perfectly.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful.
Texture's awesome.
Oh, we then added, we ground up pepperoni, a log pepperoni, 1 pound to this is 13 pounds. And we added half ghost pepper and half mozzarella. Really, really good. I'm very happy with these. I don't know that I'd add the ghost pepper again because it just dominates. Like if you get a bite without ghost pepper, it tastes totally different than the bite you get with ghost pepper. But that's not the really interesting thing about these. But the interesting thing about this is that we got to use our new Camp Chef vertical pellet smoker for the first time. So this is 13 pounds of snack sticks. It did that.
It's really probably only like 11 and a half by now.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. So it was 13 pounds of snack sticks. Fit that no problem. I don't know how much more you're going to get in there with a 19 millimeter casing than that. That was, it wasn't like stuffed to the gills. There was a little space in between each one, but it was pretty tightly stuffed. And I had pre-cut all the lengths so that they would hang optimally or whatever. So that starts at 150 degrees. That is the lowest setting that smoker will go to. On yesterday's live stream, we were talking about that smoker as well. And somebody said, hey, should you wait for it to get up to 150 and then put it in, or just put it in and start it? I was like, yeah, you might as well put it in and start it. It's going to get to 150 pretty quickly, but at least you have some conditioning. And somebody pointed out in the chat, they're like, well, no, if you have all that cold meat in the box, it's going to slow down how quickly it gets up to 150. And it was a great point then. I thanked him for making it, and it definitely played out. I would guess that from hitting start until getting to 150 degrees was about an hour.
With the meat in there?
With the meat in there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Now, I have to say, I guess, because there was a snafu. My first problem was that the little panel you can pull back that drops the ash, that was not pressed all the way in. It was almost all the way in. It was like an inch or a half an inch out. So what was happening was the hopper was dropping pellets down into the burn bin. Then they were getting, lit on fire a little bit. And then more pellets would come in and push those down into the little ashtray below. And we took video of it, and I was like, wow, that is smoking a lot from the bottom. Like, it's just tons of it's coming out the bottom. But it looked cool. So we're like, all right, whatever. And then all of a sudden I got a readout error that said flame out. And I was like, oh, well, that's not great. And I just thought, all right, well, I'll check the burn bin. And there was like almost full of either unburnt or just very partially burnt pellets. I was like, I know what I've done. So I pushed it all the way in, and I just hit start and I hit bypass. I shouldn't have done that, because 10 minutes later it flamed out again, obviously. So then I let it run through its normal startup cycle. And from there on, it worked absolutely wonderfully. We ended up with an hour or about getting to 150, then an hour at 150, then an hour at 165, and an hour at 180. Now, once it hit 150, that's when I added the humidity, because it had already been conditioned for that first hour. Turn the vents down. You can't close the vent all the way in that. It's got a little knob that prevents it. So it's just, you can close it as much as you can. It's got a really cool thing. Behind the vent, there is, I don't even know how to call it, like a pocket. It sticks out from the wall. So it forces the air around. So it can't just it doesn't just come right up and go through. It has to go around. So I think you get a more even smoke and heat distribution with that. Long story short, too late. It worked really well. I was
awesome.
really, really pleased with it.
I'm excited for it.
Yep.
We've been waiting for those for a while, and I love the concept of a wood pellet smoker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cleanups, a breeze, even just getting it set as a breeze. My problem with, and there is going to be some wave to that. It's going to, go up and come down a little bit, but the smoke setting on that, you can go from 1, which is lowest, to 10, which is highest. At 1, that wave will be minimal. It'll stay right there. If you go for a 10 smoke setting, that wave is going to be higher. And it makes sense because it's got to kick on more to burn the pellets, drop. But yeah, I did those for the first 2 hours. I did it at a 1. And then for the rest of the time, I bumped smoke up to a 5 and just kind of watched it. And honestly, I think the worst was I had it at 180. And I think I saw it one time at 192. So that's not a terrible wave, easily dealable.
Yeah.
But so yeah, all in all, that was good. I was happy with it.
So, when do you expect to get out a full video review on it?
So a couple things. I want to do more than just snack sticks in there.
Yeah.
I want to do jerky, and then I want to do a pork butt and ribs. So those are all high on my list. As soon as we get those done, we'll do a review on that. And a nice thing that we can do is we have the woodwind at the same time. We've already done snack sticks on the woodwind. These came out absolutely better.
Yeah.
No question that they're not even in the same category. These are excellent. Those were meh. Not meh. There's nothing wrong with this.
Better than an oven, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. The woodwind, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, better than oven. But I also want to do something that we did for the Walton's grinders. I think instead of doing a true review, I think I want to do a buying guide. Okay, here's the reasons that you should buy a Camp Chef. All right, you decided you should you get this woodwind or should you get the XXL vertical smoker?
Yeah.
Because the number one comment on YouTube that we used to get at least was, this isn't a review. And then people would go on rants. And I'm like, oh yeah, great. Move on. Has there ever been a YouTube comment? I have one in my mind that you either took to heart or really enjoyed?
Oh, I don't know. Strangely, I like to see the comments of when I was doing all the videos of people going, "You talk too fast. Slow down.
Why is this little kid talking so fast?" This is the one I used to see all the time. For you.
But the whole point is to not lose people's attention in my mind, and that's why there's a play pause button. And so, I don't know.
People used to play yours at 0.75 speed.
Yeah,
I remember some ladies never mind. I got it at 0.75 and it's fine now. No, my favorite mean or negative, whatever comment ever was you and I had just done a video on making chorizo. And some lady responded, she said, if I ever want a recipe for bland mayo, I'll go ask 2 white boys. Other than that, don't talk about chorizo.
Oh my God.
I absolutely adored that comment. That was like 3-4 years ago, and I still laugh about it occasionally. Anytime I see the chorizo video, I'm like,
that is hilarious.
Yeah, pretty awesome comment. All right, do we have anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything. I'm all talked out, surprisingly.
That's a strange thing to happen.
It's not necessarily a first, but it doesn't happen much.
Yeah. Usually, yeah, even giving inside information on Walton's here, when we would have like department meetings, John, he would always have to get asked like 3 or 4 times, like, okay, is there anything else? He'd be like, nope. And then like 2 seconds later, oh, wait. And
well, it would always be somebody else like said something and it reminded me. I was like, oh no, I wanted to do that. Writing down everything has helped a lot with that. So
yeah.
Definitely is better.
Cool.
All right, guys, thanks so much for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button and share. If you're listening on whatever you listen to your podcasts on, please leave a review. It really does help and it gets recommended to more people. Oh, real quick, the Hunting Dog podcast and Hunt Fish Eat, those are 2 podcasts that we sponsor. Please go give them a check out. Awesome information, especially if you have a hunting dog. You'll want to check that out.
I just want to say that you did have something else to add there. So typical John at his finest.
Fair enough.
With that, we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for checking out the Meatgistics podcast. To shop everything but the meat, head on over to waltonsinc.com. And to get your meat processing questions answered by experts and enthusiasts alike, head on over to our online community at meatgistics.com. Walton's, everything but the meat.